our neighborhood networking sponsors, Unbound and Menlo. I don't believe we have anyone here, but we do have some overall networking sponsors, and without all of them, we can't do these events. Our overall networking sponsors are going to be Blue Cross Blue Shield, Mazuma. Rachel might be here. Hi, Rachel, if you're here. And then Delta Dental. I do want to get into how this event is going to unfold. I know some of you have joined us before. This is our first time using Airmeet, so I'll go over a couple things. We'll do a quick Q&A with these wonderful people around me here. Then we'll open it up to audience questions. That'll be about 9:30, 9:35. And then when we're done, we're going to just jump into some general networking. Each of our panelists are going to be at their own table. So when you logged in, you should have seen their table with a logo and the company name there. They'll be there if you want to ask some questions after this Q&A. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then if you don't want to just jump around table to table, there's a speed networking option at the top of your screen, and that'll just randomly assign you to someone in the event. You'll get about 5 minutes to talk to them, and then you can get reassigned to someone else. So with that, I'm going to quickly introduce our panelists, and then we'll just jump right in. So with us today, we have Isaac Hodges, Vice President of Sales at FairWave Coffee Collective. That's both Messenger Coffee and the Roasterie Coffee. Thanks, Isaac. Mollie Lothman, Managing Partner at McLain's Bakery and Markets. I'm Mollie. And we have Mahaffy, Co-Chief Executive Officer at Signal Theory. And then we have a new face with us, Vicky. So Vicky is going to help me moderate today. Vicky is our Small Business Director here. And I'll let Vicky kind of maybe talk a little bit about our Small Business Celebration this year. Welcome, Vicky.
Well, good morning. Good morning, speakers, and good morning, audience. I can't see your faces, so I'm not exactly sure who's here. I guess we're all kind of learning this platform, so I think I can go over to attendees and look, but I'll do that in a minute. So glad to have you guys all here this morning. Hopefully some of you caught wind that we launched our Small Business Celebration this week. We added a brand new component to the celebration, Small Business Superstars. So any of our chamber members who are under 250 employees should have gotten notification that you are being recognized and celebrated as small members. And then we also had about 600 non-members who people have submitted as their favorite small business. So they're also part of the celebration. We felt it was really, really critical and important this year to take a step back and do things a little bit differently than what we've done the past 30 years with the celebration. Typically, it's always been the normal nomination process that companies or others would nominate somebody or a business that they felt was worthy of winning awards. But this year, we just were like, let's just celebrate everybody. It's a time for the Kansas City community to lift up all small businesses. So whether you're a mom and pop shop, or you're a sole proprietor, and maybe you've only been open for a year and you've done all this on your own, we're here to lift you all up, support you, celebrate you however we can. So hopefully those that have received the communication, you would have gotten the digital toolkit. So please have fun with recognizing yourself as a small business superstar. And once we go through that process, just really quick, I'm going to touch on some highlights. The regular Mr. K application will still be occurring, and that will go live hopefully next week or early the following week. So we encourage all of you members to be part of the Small Business Celebration, apply for the Mr. K Award or any of the specialty awards. And if you do go ahead and fill out that application, as in years past, you will automatically be able to participate in our Small Business Showcase, which will be held the end of May, and it will be pitch style, just like we did last year via Zoom. So it'll be super fun, and then you get to proceed into the competition for all the awards. So, okay, that was probably a little bit more detail than I expected, but hopefully it was all good. So I'm going to just kick it off with the question to our panelists here. As everybody hopefully knows, they were part of our top 10 companies last year. And so we have McLain's and Messenger and Signal Theory here. You guys were amazing top 10 companies. It was super fun to have you part of the group. And we know that, as you all were named top 10, that was right at the beginning stages of COVID and when COVID hit. A lot has changed for everybody over this past year. What's been the biggest change your business has experienced since the pandemic hit? Mollie, you want to kick it off?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. It's funny. I was going over these questions this morning, and I realized today exactly is the 1 year kind of anniversary of us realizing this was going to be a really big deal in Kansas City. I remember it was Friday, March 13th. And by that Sunday night, 48 hours later, we were having an emergency meeting with my family, deciding if we were going to be open on Monday morning or not. So it was a crazy experience, a year ago right now. I think one of the biggest struggles and changes for us this year was continuing to keep all the stores, moving forward with what we normally do, which is like innovative products and keeping our customers happy and keeping, having a good environment for our employees and things. And then also dealing with everything COVID related. Since we are a company in which, we're customer facing and customers come in all day long. COVID really, really did, hit us pretty hard. And I think a lot of other small businesses out there can relate to this. There was so much going on behind the scenes that we had to deal with from, local restrictions and HR things within the company and keeping employees feeling safe and making sure we're doing the right thing. As well as just keep our regular business running at the same time. So I think that was one of our biggest hurdles. And I think we figured it out and we've done it, but I think we're all tired. But that I think definitely was one of our biggest hurdles. And we actually opened 2 stores this year, one in June and one in November. And so, that was really exciting. Also a little crazy with people kept being like, what are you doing? And our first store that we opened, we actually were already so far into the construction process in March that it only made sense to continue opening it. And it's our Shawnee store, and our customers have totally showed up and responded. But I think we just had to acknowledge from like our normal experience with opening a store, this was just going to be different. And kind of mourn that, but also be excited for what's to come and the way our customers still showed up. So.
I'll jump in there. Mollie, I think our story probably is very similar to yours. And congrats on the new store. The Shawnee store is really cool. So good job with that. It's really fun. Yeah, it was literally all within the same day. You would be so thankful to see an order come through that somebody was still trying to place an order with our business, whether it was a digital order or, and we went from one way of placing orders through us. We didn't even really take phone in orders before the pandemic. So now we're doing phone. We built a Square store. We did the DoorDash. We did curbside. We did whatever side. I'll drive it to your house. Just please order anything. And at the same time, laying off 120 plus people and making sure that they felt and they knew that we cared about them and their future position with our company. And that it was hopefully as temporary as possible and we'll bring you all right back. And I mean, it was just the ups and downs of every day, the new recommendation or by a local authority or by a national authority or the unclarity of what we were supposed to do. I think we all gained some pounds and then COVID took them right back off if you got COVID. Anyway, just a whirlwind of an experience. And now, a year ago today, we were talking about this too, Mollie, with the Big 12 tournament being up here. We thrive a lot off the Big 12 at Messenger Cafe because, all the traffic and the excitement. And there's a 20%, I think, occupancy at the Sprint Center right now or something like that. And so we're seeing some logo tees and Big 12 stuff. So it's like, oh my gosh, this was trauma for us last year. And so we talked about what is even, that trauma experience look like for us and our staff and the reminder and the gut feelings. And so we're just being really mindful right now about how our staff is feeling, being really communicative about how proud we are of them and thankful we are that they carried us through this time. And yeah, we're really thankful to be in business and to feel like we're actually thriving right now. So it's kind of.
Yeah, so we are a different kind of business from you two. I just cannot imagine the past year for you all with customers coming in every day. We're a marketing, brand development, and design firm, so we don't have the same kind of customers, but we had to really shift how we were dealing with our clients and how we could still generate the type of work that our clients were used to. So that collaboration and the ideation to come up with great ideas for our clients that are driving their business when they're all concerned about their business in the first place was, like all of us, really unexpected, and we had to pivot really quickly. I am so thankful for our IT team that a year in advance we had already started moving everything to the cloud, and we were working with all Google tools, thank goodness, because this week when we all packed up our stuff and went home for a couple weeks or whatever it was going to be, we were really thankful that we were able to continue to work together. Over the year, we've gotten good at that collaboration and the ideation, and we use all different kinds of tools, but we're ready to get back as soon as it's safe for everyone, like everyone else, I'm sure.
We're ready, absolutely. Thanks for sharing all of that. COVID was a learning curve for sure. I think we all maybe were taught a couple lessons throughout this past year. What's something that you all have learned about you or your business?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're up, Allie.
Well, I just think, when we thinking about March last year, if someone would have said, okay, pack up your stuff because this is going to last a year, we would have all been like, we can't do this for a year. There's no way. That's ridiculous. But we did, and we just learned from each other. We learned how to communicate really well over this little screen. We adapted, and I think the thing that we learned is that we are capable of a lot more than we probably believe that we are. And just every week getting more and more, just more and more success with how we were working together and how we figured stuff out. I guess that was our biggest lesson, that we're really, as humans, we are capable of a lot more than we think we are at the beginning of something crazy like we.
Yeah, that's really good. I was kind of thinking about what we're capable of, but also that we have so many people that want to show how much they're capable. And there was a ton of good ideas and like innovations. And what have you thought about this, especially from a non-technical or IT background myself? Well, let's try to iterate this way, or see if, it was just really fun to see people's ideas come to life, and to volunteer to help out in the process and being willing to stretch. And I think what I realized even more so is, we care a lot about the products themselves or the producers of the products, and we care a lot about our customers, and we do care about our employees. But I realized even more so how much our employees rely on us to create an environment and an experience that is reliable, sustainable, and something that they believe that they can stay in and then progress in for a long time. And so I knew that, but I think I realized that even more so that we have a really huge responsibility to create a workplace that listens, that creates a culture of trust and growth opportunity, and allows for their innovation to impact our companies. So I think we've taken that to heart and tried to remodel the way that we do. I mean, we're releasing a new employee handbook next week, so it's an important thing for our company to understand that our employees are just as critical to the innovation of our business as maybe some of the leaders of the business are.
Yeah, I mean, I would piggyback on what they said. One thing I wrote down was just, we can do hard things. Like I knew we could do hard things, or at least I would have said that. But, each week it was like, all right, here's another thing. And that we have really loyal customers. And obviously like at McLain's, I feel like that, but just with like the feeling of like small business in Kansas City. And I know small businesses has been a push for several years now, but I feel like we really felt it this last year at a really, really important time. We had it makes me emotional, but we've had some customers come up and say, like, early on, like, I'm on a really strict budget right now, but I am specifically budgeting $5 to spend at your store every week or whatever, whatever it was. It was like, we want to make sure you're here when this is over, and do our part to do that, which was, it really does mean a lot, because we have 250 employees here in Kansas City and Lawrence who were scared and nervous when it all started, but they were also looking to us to be like, do I get a paycheck? Like, am I going to be able to pay for what I need to pay for next week? And so I think also just learning what empathy can do, because I think so often people are having hard experiences in life, but it's really all at the same time. I mean, you could look in the room and be like, every single person in here is struggling right now. And so that empathetic feeling that we all had with each other, I think really grew us as a team, as employees and owners and everybody and customers and everybody.
That's a great story, Mollie. Yeah, it's hopefully we don't have to go through what we've gone through ever again, but the positives are shining through, and I think especially with some hindsight, there certainly will be some silver linings, and what a time, right? Yeah, I feel and hear what you're saying, Mollie, as far as just kind of that feeling of small businesses really rallying together. And I know you guys are doing some great efforts in supporting small businesses at McLain's, Mollie. Anyway, so it's a interesting and incredible time. So, Allie, I have a question for you. Signal theory is known for using behavioral science to build your brands. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that actually means?
Yeah, sure. So for our clients, we believe that a more systematic understanding of human behavior is going to bring them more success. So the more that we understand our clients' customers and why they're making the decisions that they're making, the more we can create communications to their customers that's really going to resonate with them. So it might be, I think it's just really digging a little deeper, understanding what that customer wants and how to message, but then digging a little deeper and saying, why really is that person making that decision? And how can we communicate that's in a way that's going to be more meaningful and that it's going to resonate a lot more than just a kind of surface level type of communication.
That makes sense. Thanks, Allie.
Isaac and Mollie, like you mentioned earlier, very similar past years, it sounds like, but a lot of successes. Isaac, I know that there was perhaps a big announcement yesterday or this morning. Do you mind talking about that? And then Mollie, maybe after that, touch on how the experience was opening 2 new locations this past year.
Yeah, we've had a lot of exciting news over the past couple or this week, I guess. We have a couple stores opening by the end of April on the plaza. So we are opening our first extension of the Messenger brand, taking over the 2 Caldi's cafes on the plaza. And we are super excited about taking our brand outside of 1624 Grand for the first time in a retail setting to a place where we feel like is an iconic retail setting, but also as a chance to tell our story in a new way to a new audience. There's a lot of things that we really liked about it. And Caldi's has been a friend of ours for a while. And so when we just had our initial conversation about, hey, if we think we might be leaving, would you be interested? It was just, we have to figure out a way to make this happen. And in the midst of all that, we announced our plans to open a store in 2022 at Prairie Fire Phase 2, along next to some friends out there with Chicken and Pickle and Andy's Frozen Custard. So we're super excited about both of those locations. The idea of just impacting communities that are so important for our city and extending outside of the Crossroads community is really important to us. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. We were right there, I guess, in front of you with opening a few stores kind of with all of COVID in mind. And it was funny. I felt like we often had conversations of like, okay, how are we going to handle the next 6 months? And then what's the plan like for long term. So when we were designing stores and coming up with stores, you almost had to have these like 2 stores at the same time within the same building in your head being built. So I don't know. I feel like it worked. We did it. I wouldn't recommend opening a store in the middle of, COVID of summer 2020. But our customers were so kind, and we have a drive-through, and that helped a ton, this last summer and this fall as that all happened. And we're just really excited for, this summer and hopefully a lot more things opening up. So we send you guys all the best of luck. I think it's great to have more coffee shops here in Kansas City and bakeries and stuff where people can gather. Cause I think as we've all realized this last year too, like how important gathering and getting to see people is. So I think that's just a really important thing for our city to have. And more important now than ever, really. So.
I can't really even imagine, like we coffee shops, bars, restaurants. It's going to be exciting. So Isaac, since Messenger became part of the FairWave Coffee Collective, how has that helped the brand and overall running the shop? And maybe you can just give a really quick explanation of how the organization with FairWave, how everything's breaking down.
Yeah. And if you talk about pandemic changing your life, then you throw onto the top of it, your company being, transitioned and sold and joining a new group and joining the Roasterie has been another whirlwind in and of itself. And, as change brings a lot of anxiety, I think what we've realized throughout the whole process is that the people matter the most. And when you have an iconic brand like the Roasterie joining and kind of an up and coming couple brands with Ibis and Messenger and the Filling Station and Black Dog, you just realize that there's a lot of underlying like what ifs, and already in the middle of the pandemic, what does that mean for me? And I think what we've taken a really hard look at is the people of the business and where have they been supported or lack of support in the past? How has the distraction of the pandemic and the stretch and we've all been stretched thin. What do you just need? And so I think what FairWave has brought from an intercompany cultural standpoint is it's given us grace and it's given us some space to just listen to our people again and figure out a way to support them in a much, I feel like, a better way than we've ever done before. FairWave is also allowing for a lot of opportunities for our staff. I was just telling someone again this morning that one of the most proud things about opening a new store, and Mollie, you probably feel this too, is that you get to create opportunities for growth for your staff. And we put out a couple job applications for new management roles, and people are just flocking to apply. And like, I realize that this can be a place that I work at for a really long time, and you're giving me an opportunity for growth. I see David Weber, one of my teammates, is on this call today, and we promoted David to help me take over some of the wholesale growth for Messenger Coffee. And, that wouldn't have been able to happen without FairWave, I don't think. And so I'm just really thankful. The Roasterie team has been super helpful and gracious. They've been experts in the industry for a long time. And so I learned a lot even before. I always told people when I was a Messenger salesperson that Roasterie and I were going at each other. We were always trying to win the coffee business over each other. And now our brands are very different, but I get to tell a unique story every time I talk to somebody about our businesses and the why behind them. But really just comes down to the people of the business. And I'm all about making sure every single person across the board, no matter what department, no matter what brand they associate themselves with or get their paycheck from, that they have an opportunity for growth and they have an opportunity to stay with our company long-term and get the benefit of being a part of a larger organization. So it's super exciting. There was definitely a lot of stress and anxiety, but I hope that if you talk to one of our employees now, they would say, this is the best thing that could have ever happened.
And congrats once again. Well,
thank you.
One of the main reasons we're here is to tee up our small business celebration. So let's reflect on, how your experience was last year. What was one of the main highlights of your experience a year ago? Whoever wants to jump in can jump in. Allie, go ahead. I'll call on you.
Okay. I think there's a couple things. First, from an internal standpoint, when we were, filling out the application and putting the materials together and trying to figure out our story for the top 10 competition, it was really cool. It really gave us a chance to look at what have we done, what have our accomplishments been, and it's a boost when you start looking at, oh my gosh, we had a great year. We are a great company. I think it's a really uplifting process. And then once you get into it and you meet all of these other amazing small businesses in Kansas City, I think that's the most rewarding. So sitting on that top 10 and hearing those final presentations of what every company is about. I mean, it was really emotional. I love Kansas City. I love small business in Kansas City. And so for me, seeing all of these amazing stories, at that point, it was like, oh, who cares who wins? We have the coolest community of small business. It's a really neat thing to be a part of. So we learned a lot internally and within the community.
Yeah, I would say something that was really great for us, kind of like Ali said, was just the exercise for us to go through the questions and sit down and really put them on paper. We, like every small business, has gotten really caught up in just like, the day-to-day, keeping everything going and moving. And in our heads, we had the answers to all these things, especially my dad and my brother and I. But it was like, how do we get them on paper so our employees actually have like a legitimate answer to what we're doing for X, Y, and Z, or this or that? And so my dad, my brother, and I, and then Kayla, who works very closely with us, spent a lot of time doing that. And I will just say, it was such a good exercise for us. I don't know if we honestly would have ever made the time to sit down and do that if it wasn't other than, for somebody else, really, like to be part of this contest. And then, just experiencing it with other small businesses. Like I said, a lot of times you're just heads down in a small business trying to get through each day. And so it was fun to kind of take a breather and see what all the other small businesses are doing and gain encouragement from them and other best practices from them and things like that. So it was awesome.
I think I would say the exact same things. So I can repeat them if you want, but if anybody is thinking about is this something that I should be doing? It's absolutely something you should be doing for those two reasons alone. The process of going through answering those questions and changing your business model because of things that actually really matter and impact your business and you should be thinking about. And then the collaboration and impact you get when you meet new people and meet new businesses that are just killing it and deserve all the recognition. And it's such an honor to have your names associated with companies like Signal Theory and McLain. So it truly is an honor. It's a great process. And I would recommend it to anybody.
Thanks for teeing it up, guys. That was perfect. You passed. Well, we have a couple of questions in the chat. I know we're getting close on time, but I do want to ask one, and then a reminder that all of our panelists will be at a specific table after this. So if you do have more questions, feel free to go to their table and ask them that. But Cassie Dean put a question in the chat. You've all touched on it a bit, but how did you feel the Kansas City community specifically helped uplift your business clients and employees during this garbage year?
I'll go. I think I shared that story earlier about just how people specifically were coming out of their way to spend their money at our store. And how that truly means that we could give a paycheck to someone. I mean, that first month, it really was like, how are we getting enough money to pay the bills next week? So I would just say applause to Kansas City. Like, you guys just killed it this year. And people were so willing to we had to switch overnight to basically a to-go customer experience when our entire brand is built on people coming into our stores. And we had some rough days with that. I'll be honest, like Mother's Day last year, like our entire system went down. But people overall were just so kind and we're like, hey, we want the food and we want the drink, but really we just want to spend our money here. So if it's not perfect or it's the drink might be wrong or whatever, like people were just really willing and able to give us grace in those moments where we really needed it and then come back again. So yeah, I would say Kansas City killed it.
Yeah, there was a lot of like doubling up on supporting each other. It was like they would come to our business to support us, but they would buy hundreds of dollars worth of gift cards so the next people could benefit from it. So there was I don't know if it's Kansas City or if it's Midwest or whatever it is, but the grace and the humility and the like support, it just came out of the woodwork. And so, one of the things that I love about being involved in coffee business is if I just look up right now and I see 30 people sitting in our cafe, there's a chance that one of them did that, and and that we'll do it again, and we'll show another like pay it forward kind of mentality again. And it's an honor to be around and associated with Kansas Cityans that have a mindset like that. So couldn't have made it any other way.
And I will say, just in the advertising community within Kansas City, I've been a part of it for 25 years or more. And I've met so many amazing people, and we all, as leaders of agencies all over town, kind of just put that competitive spirit aside and reached out to each other and we're like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? What are you doing to make sure your employees are safe? And how are you pitching new business? And we all really opened up and collaborated with each other. And I think it made it even more of a special community for all of us to reach out and support each other. It's really
Kansas City's awesome. Ended on that. I forgot to mention one thing that Vicky will also be at a table. She's at table 4. If you have any questions about the small business celebration process or anything there, but that's the panel, guys. We're finished with that. I appreciate you all coming here. Now we're going to open it up to some networking, and I want to thank our panelists once again for joining us. But with that, enjoy some networking, and we'll see you all hopefully next week on Thursday. We've got a speed networking event that we'd love to have you all there. So with that, adios.